please join me in welcoming Tim Ellis, the EVP and Chief Marketing Officer of the NFL. Welcome. It's right here. I got a water for you right there as well. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. Wow. Look at this group.
Yes, it's an honor to have you. You've been really instrumental in I mean, I feel like this theme developing here around really well-known brands like Domino's turning something around. Now, when we think of the NFL doesn't need to turn anything around, it's been strong forever. But really the past 5 or 6 years, there's been an incredible amount of growth and value creation. So I want to get into that. But when you joined the NFL in 2018, you had challenges. You had challenges with your players. You had challenges with activists around health issues. You had challenges in the entertainment business, overall. Streaming was starting to take hold. You had to figure that out. But the league has grown on almost every metric since then.
When I came to it was interesting. When I came to the NFL, it was a really challenging period. The headlines were not good. It was all about the NFL is dying, the demise of the game, and so forth. Linear TV and not having a way to sort of get our game out to the growing audience, the audience of the future. So I remember when I looked at the opportunity and the NFL began to have conversations with me, I told my wife, I'm like, well, this is either the best decision I'm ever going to make or the worst decision I'm ever going to make. And I think, as it turns out, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. And I had a very clear, I love the game, right? And as a marketer, I was always, the opportunity to take a big legacy brand and actually fundamentally, rejuvenate that brand,
right,
bring life to that brand again, was an incredible opportunity and something that I was just so excited and so honored to be able to take the reins on. So I had a very clear strategy actually from the minute I talked to my first person at the NFL. Like I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And to this day, that strategy has only broadened and deepened. And to put it as simple as possible, it was about getting the helmets off the players, having the players be the face of the league, and to begin to sort of swerve everything towards youth culture and humanity, right? So if you think about the video, that's a lot of the work that I have done together with my team over the last 6 years, and it really made the brand feel more relatable to this growing younger audience. It also it injected life right into the brand. It felt more relevant, more modern, more interesting, right, for people. And by connecting with the players that way, at the time I came on, as you may all recall, there was a lot of tension between the players and the league. And that's just not a good thing, right? So a lot of the helmets off strategy was not just about humanizing the league and having the players be the face of the league, but it was also repairing and building relationships and building trust with the players and with the NFL ecosystem. Because if you think about it, the NFL, of course, it's such a big entity. It has a lot of people who are on their owned and operated, right? But when I got there, I said, yeah, but that's just a slice of what we could have. If we begin to look at our true ecosystem, is all of the players, right? And all of the clubs and all of the legends, and then all of the influencers who love this game. Suddenly you get into, anywhere from 60, 80 million people in your owned and operated to literally over 1 billion people who you can reach through that ecosystem, right? And so being willing to have a lot of these complex discussions where you literally have to choose a direction and choose a side and live by your values.
Right.
And I think that any brand who thinks that they can get away with not sort of being consistent when things are tough is kidding themselves, right? Because I think that, to be honest, I think that at times before in years past, we try to sort of like be on both sides, if you will, of things. And I don't mean politically, but I just mean like, dodging, if you will, things that fans wanted you to take a stand on. And so I think that the willingness to sort of face tough issues and take a stand on really important societal issues like racism, like inclusion and things like that, have really built up the reputation and allowed us to sort of bring in audiences who have helped us be stronger and better as an organization. And I can recall some of the moments, if you will, where we realized that we have got to embrace this moment and be leaders and not just try to escape or get through this year. And I think it can not be any more relevant than it is this year, right? If you think about it, it's going to be important for us, I think, to continue to be a leader out there in a cultural guiding light.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of you alluded to one of your core initiatives, which is to grow the game.
Yeah.
Right. To reach audiences, beyond kind of the folks who brought you, so to speak. The football fan, usually maybe look like you and me.
Yeah.
A little older.
A lot like you and me, actually. Yeah.
Male. And you grew the game to include young people, women, non-white people.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that sizzle reel and you see
America, basically.
America, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, can you unpack how did you actually go about doing that?
I first built an organization that reflected the country and that reflected the fan base that we were trying to build and attract. I began again to sort of build relationships with key ambassadors of the brand who could help us sort of connect and be more relatable to these audiences. And then it's about commitment and consistency, right? So a lot of the programs we put in place, like our Inspired Change program, which is a social justice initiative. So it's important to not only talk about some of these very important, complex issues, but also use your platform, right, to talk about the importance of these things, but then also to make financial commitments and also to work, within communities together again with the players, right? So like as an example, we have an amazing program called My Cause, My Cleats, right? And where every player in the league can, during this 2-week period, the causes that are most important to them, that they really burn for, we work together with them, design their cleats, and then we offer a platform from which they can talk about these important causes, right? And so, again, building that relationship with the players, and then having them sort of reach out to the communities and also the creative community, right? That's right. Some of the success that the NFL has had has been because we have repaired and built incredible relationships with the creative community and with, again, those ambassadors who have influence and who can help us be better at connecting with these younger audiences and the audiences of people of color. And so that's really, we have an incredible now, a social and influencer group, right? And who work also with the creators. The creative economy has just exploded right now. Right. And we're really good at it, I think. I think that, we're fortunate because we can offer experiences that money can't buy, right? So we bring in, we earn the trust and we bring in these artists and these creators. We give them experiences that they couldn't get otherwise. And then they're very happy and excited to sort of spread to their audiences and build their audiences. And that's helped us, I think, grow. And then I just, I don't take for granted at all the importance of our core audiences at all. In fact, we have a very clear 2-pronged strategy. We provoke and then we confirm, right? So what that means essentially is that we're constantly sort of stretching the brand out, provoking people, and then we're confirming, like, this is the game you love. This is the game that you have dedicated, your spare time to and you, with all your friends and family and so forth. And so it's kind of about, we celebrate the joy of the game and then we transcend the game. All right? And that's the provokes part. The provoke part is the transcending of the game. And so you saw in that video, for example, is talking about mental health. I mean, there's a mental health crisis with young people out there today. Not just young people, but in particular young people. And so we took our biggest moment of the year, which is the Super Bowl, and we did a series of ads which are dedicated to sort of talking about these important issues, again, together with the players, about the importance of taking care of your mind and importance of understanding and getting rid of the stigma around mental health,
Right.
right? And then I personally put together a multi-league effort together with the Ad Council. So 11 of us, 11 leagues we put together and did a big campaign called Love Your Mind. And again, that was something where the NFL could take a leading position, and I personally could help, bring all these folks together. And again, it takes a matter of trust. I think it takes relationship building, right? And doing things that are bold and unexpected, right? And I kind of throw those things out there, bold and unexpected, but it's true. You have to inspire people. If you want to make really true fundamental change, you have to inspire people with something big and exciting.
Yeah. Well, I was somewhat inspired as I played a couple of years of high school football.
Oh, okay.
Unsuccessfully. But I was a tight end. As a matter of fact, my number was 87.
You and Travis Kelce, yeah.
That was my number.
Yeah.
I had it before him. But I loved flag football when I was a kid. I loved it. And I had forgotten the game even existed. And I'm still stunned that the Olympics are coming up next week. And in 4 years, flag football is going to be an Olympic sport.
For the first time ever.
Yeah, and the NFL has really adopted flag football. And it seems to me it's a perfect example of growing the market and creating new kinds of value. How did that come about?
So again, let's go back now 6 years. So at the time I talked about the turbulence there, it wasn't only what was happening at that time. It wasn't only that Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed and so many others were talking about some very important issues and protests during that period. And let's face it, the NFL should have listened and should have been, and we know that, and Commissioner Goodell has said that very clearly. But that was also going on at that time, there's a lot of discussion around CTE and the safety of the game and so forth. And there's been a tremendous amount of progress that's gone on around improving the game and improving the safety of the game and making the game safer. However, it's also important to realize that you have to give families and people a choice to play the game, right? You can't just keep trying to sort of force everyone to play tackle if they're not comfortable with that, right? And one of the first meetings I had when I came to the NFL was with a bunch of legends, including Deion Sanders, and we were talking about, youth tackle football, and I said, well, what about flag? And the room went silent, right? I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, Yeah. And then it was great because then Deion said oh, flag football's badass, right? and he got going and excited, and I realized that we're limiting ourselves by thinking about youth football, by not promoting flag football more because it's let's face it, it's more accessible. It's easier to get into. Anyone can play. And the biggest opportunity really is with young women, girls and young women.
Right.
And so now, just since that time, 66% growth in women playing football at a youth level, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. You might have seen in that video, and then 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, Deanna Flores, who is the captain of the Mexican football team, was the star of our Super Bowl commercial. Right. It's the first time the NFL had focused on flag. It's the first time the NFL had focused with a female as the lead playing football, and then the first time that we spoke Spanish actually in the commercial as well. And that was an important moment because I think, again, it sent a signal out to all of our 200 million fan base together with our 32 owners. And it really helped us both on a league level and on a ground level begin to build something exciting, right? And so now we've got, I think it's 11 states just recently have been sanctioned where high school flag is being played by women. There are 20 pilots. We're moving towards getting them sanctioned. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, for the first time ever, we're going to be in the Olympics, and that's going to be super inspiring.
Yeah.
And so we're putting sort of flag football side by side together with elite tackle football.
Right.
And that's really helping us sort of inspire people and get them excited about a different part of our game. And ultimately, it is significantly growing our fan base. Because the thing you have to remember for our business is that if you participate in the game, you're 4 times as more likely to become a lifetime fan, right? And if you don't become a fan by the time you're 18, you're never going to be. There's no acquisition strategy for a 32-year-old, right? you gotta get them before they become 18. That's critical. So youth football and participation, particularly in a world with so many choices, the young people have so many choices of entertainment, it is not easy to get them to engage in your game, but if you can get them to play the game, then you're really on your way to building, sort of future-proofing the NFL. So that's what we've been doing. It's been, in fact, just this weekend, we're having NFL flag championship for the first time. We've got 6 countries who are participating, obviously together with all the teams from the U.S. It's going to be in Canton, Ohio. I don't know, not too far from here, and it's going to be amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to. Speaking of future-proofing, I mean, you know, many of us are very, very close observers of the streaming market, right?
Yeah.
And when that, you know, when that revolution began, the idea that football or major sports of any kind would be on Netflix or Amazon or Apple or Google just seemed nuts. Like that's never going to happen. And now it's happened, and it happened relatively quickly. How did you prepare yourself for that kind of change in your distribution strategies, your media strategies, your business model?
Well, listen, one of the exciting things about working for the NFL is that we're constantly sort of seeing ourselves as a challenger and not as the sort of establishment and the leader. And we're constantly thinking of like, okay, we cannot wait for things to happen for us. We've got to make things happen on our own and drive, you know, sort of getting our content out there to the right places. The other thing I would say, and I'll be more specific with that in a moment here, but the other thing I would say is like, as a marketer, I don't know how many of you in here are marketers, but as a marketer, you begin to realize that your strategies in your program is really working when you can get others within the organization to adopt what you're doing and take it and run with it in their own way, right? And so one of the things that I did when I first got there to the NFL was I literally, every time we got together with the 32 owners, I was like ringing the alarm bell of urgency, saying, we have got to focus on younger audiences. This is, I mean, we're going to age out here, right? Like, and I just showed them all the data. I just showed them very openly, showed them all the data. We had a 7-year trend of like losing younger audiences, right? And I was very open and transparent about that. We're now in growth mode now for several years, and guess what? What's growing that audiences are women, Latinos, and young people, right? So the 3 areas that we've started focusing on is what's growing the NFL. And so then you begin to see like all the smart, amazing folks like in the media areas and on the areas where we're thinking about how we get our content out there in a more modern way, in a more breakthrough way. So suddenly, yes, of course our partners at Fox and NBC and CBS are incredibly important, will continue to be. But like working with Amazon to take on Thursday Night Football, working with Sunday Ticket together with YouTube TV and getting that out there, right? Yep. And then this year announcing that 2 games are gonna be on Netflix, which is awesome, right? That's gonna happen this year. These are all, and guess what? We haven't lost, in fact, we're growing our audiences in these digital distribution channels, and we're significantly lowering the age of the folks who are watching.
Right.
Okay? So we're not only going to where our audience is and allowing them to, you know, consume our game in the way that they want to, right, and other platforms. We're not forcing them to be on certain channels, but we're also finding ways to sort of bring in these younger audiences. Some of the other things we're doing is we're taking these relationships. You saw in that video, for example, what we did with Pixar and Toy Story, right? How many of you saw the Pixar game that we did in the NFL? Yeah, so a bunch of you did. Well, so that was amazing. Like, basically that was using the technology that we use in our health and safety program. So we have a chip on the shoulder pad and then in the mouthpiece. And we track that to make sure that we understand. Anytime an athlete has any injury, we try to understand exactly what happened and then correct it, right, as best we can. Well, we use that technology to actually do this game in real time. So you had in Toy Story, right? We went together with Disney and Pixar, and then the game was literally in real time being played out in Andy's bedroom, right? As all the characters from Toy Story were watching and cheering, and that was an incredible experience for people. Nickelodeon's another, using all the graphics, and we did for the first time the Super Bowl. We've done it in Thanksgiving, and we've done it with the playoffs and the wild card. So it's a ways for families to come together to enjoy the game in new and exciting ways. And not only is it helping us bring together families and strengthen football within that family, but it's also sending clear signals that the NFL is a modern organization that is, cutting edge in technology and so forth.
Yeah. Well, we could talk to you for another hour, and I wish we had the time, but unfortunately we're out of it. But I wish you the best of luck. Maybe we'll have an NFL proposal and engagement and wedding on our hands here at some point. Feels like that was a big deal.
That didn't come from me, so just so you know.
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
But Tim Ellis, thank you so much for coming to see me.
Yeah, thank you.